Voices from the Hidden Kingdom is a program dedicated to sharing North Korean refugee stories, facts about their homeland, and facilitate conversations around some of the most pressing issues that the people face today and into the future. New Korea Foundation International acts as an intermediary, advocate, and public-facing voice for those willing to share their knowledge and experiences with you, the listener. All names have been changed to protect all participants and their family members who may remain in North Korea. Episode 4. Dying to Live, Living to Serve. A significant part of living is centered around making choices. What you want to eat, where you want to live, what kind of career you'd like to pursue. Very few of these choices come with restrictions or consequences, and that truly is freedom most of us never think about. For North Koreans, there is little to no freedom of choice. And when there is a choice, 9 times out of 10, it is to survive. No choices around career, or cars, or travel, or where you want to eat out. It's simply just survive or die trying. For those who attempt to escape, they're willing to risk everything just for a taste of freedom and a chance to live. They will cross partially frozen rivers while being shot at, squeeze through electric fences, hide in holes, trek through mountains and the countryside on foot for 2,300 plus miles just to live and embrace freedom for the first time in their lives. Then they'll travel another 2,500 miles to South Korea to reach safety and freedom. Once you hear about their journeys, their odds of success, what they lost in order to gain freedom, etc., especially if you're hearing it directly from a North Korean, you can't help but feel moved and become an advocate. This is the case for Kenneth Bae. Always having been keenly aware of North Korea, Kenneth found himself quickly moving from missionary to mouthpiece. Through his journey to advocate for, reach out to, and save North Korean people, Kenneth found himself in a position where his life hung in the balance, and he was faced with a choice: dying to live or living to serve. In this interview with Kenneth, I was visiting the NKFI offices in Seoul, South Korea. We were able to sit down for just a minute or two and talk about his experiences and his perspective and what led him to the work he does today. All right. Well, Kenneth, it has been a busy week here in the South Korean office, and we finally have a moment to sit down and talk a little bit about how you got here, what you do, why you do it, and all of the good stuff. So I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about your background, your inspiration and the heart for North Korean people, and how you ended up imprisoned for 735 days in a North Korean labor camp. I know it's hard to summarize that, but...
I was born in South Korea, and our family moved to the United States in 1985. I was 16 at the time, so I became an American citizen. But my dad's side of the family, my dad was born in north side of Korea before Korean War. So I always had grew up with some of the relatives speaking North Korean accent, and not able to go back to the homeland. So that was always in back of my mind and my heart. And then during the 1990s, more than 3 million people starved to death in North Korea, and hundreds of thousands of people escaped from North Korea practically for food and trying to survive. And many were sent back to North Korea, and many ended up in South Korea as well. So when I was working as a missionary in China, I've been contacted by some of the missionaries who are working with North Korean refugees and the North Korean folks that were working in China at the time. So I was able to meet up with some of the people. One time in 2000, I think it was back in 2005, 21 years ago, I was able to visit a place called Dandong, which is next to North Korea border. I was able to meet with 2 North Korean people. They just came out of North Korea. One of them was about 30-some years old, and she became believer about 3 weeks ago. So I asked her, how can we pray for you? And she said, no, don't pray for me because I already know Jesus. Please pray for people in North Korea. They need to know who Jesus is too. And then the other man was about 50 years old. He became Christian about a month ago. So I asked him, how do you feel now since you believe in God now? And he said, I did not have hope to live my life, but now I find hope. And when he said that, I knew that he said he found hope in Jesus Christ. So the meeting with these two folks, that really changed my direction and deepened my heart for North Korea. And I've been wanting to visit this city, not only by myself, but with hundreds of people that visiting China at the time, and said, would you like to go see North Korea up front? And then we go there to pray, worship in behalf of people. And then and I ended up moved to this particular city, and we opened up the Youth of the Mission Wanwen base there as well. And as I was working there as a base leader, I wanted to see if we can do more than just praying from outside of North Korea. So we pray, and then God opened the door for us to be able to visit North Korea in 2010 for first time. And then I was visiting, I really felt the Lord speaking to me clearly that my people's eyes are blind and they cannot see. My people's ears are deaf and they cannot hear. My people's, their mouth is mute and they cannot speak. But I will open their eyes and they will see my glory once again. I'll open their ears, they'll hear my voice once again. I'll open their mouth so they will praise my name once again. So this is when I really felt that it was God's clear calling to be a bridge between North Korean people to the rest of the world. So I ended up bringing a Christian intercessor as a tour group into North Korea. I've been going back and forth about 18 times. At the end, we went there to pray and worship and really love the people. We travel and experience the culture and the nature and meeting people. At the end, I was arrested because I made a terrible mistake by carrying in portable computer hard drive. And then they discovered that, in part of that, they discovered there is North Korea related videos that were produced by Western media, and they didn't like the fact that it was kind of negatively portrayed it in a way, and so there was a reason why I was arrested. But at the end, they also realized that I was a missionary going in and out of North Korea, and then they charged me to overthrow the North Korean government through prayer and worship, and I ended up getting a 15 years of hard labor sentence to overthrow the government of North Korea. And I was the first American actually was detained and served in North Korea labor camp. And I ended up in 735 days, 2 years and 5 days in North Korea before I was actually rescued by American delegate who was sent by President Obama at that time. So that was 2014, November 8th, I was able to come home.
Man, wow. I remember that time so well. Seems like it was yesterday. I'm glad it was not yesterday. I was going to ask you if there was a specific moment when you felt the call to take up the mantle of advocacy, the Great Commission, and become an advocate. It sounds like it really began when you met the two individuals for the first time. That was kind of the starting momentum, but then it really took off once you had visited for the first time. That's kind of how it went?
That's correct. I was able to bring about 300 intercessors from 17 different nations over 18 different times. And our tour company, we just set up just for that. We were able to go in and out for about 23 different times. I led 18 out of 23 trips to North Korea in over a year and a half period of time. And then while we were visiting, we realized that they're just regular people just like us, just you and I. But they happen to be in North Korea, and they're so blinded, and they're not able to, they're cut off from the rest of the world. And I really felt that they need to know the truth, and truth will set them free. And I was praying, and we asked the Lord that God will restore the land, restore His people, so they can live in freedom and equalities, and something that we take it for granted.
Yeah, I think this week as I've spoken with other, the various North Koreans that we've had in, and when we went up to the site the other day to see the stark difference between North Korea's land and South Korea. You look to South Korea and there are these enormous buildings and development, and it's, North Korea is these 3 or 4 story buildings at most and dirt road. And it kind of, being from the U.S., you kind of wonder, can they not see, the difference between the two just standing at the border? But knowing everything about not being able to travel and the narrative that they're told, it's just so much to process and really think about, in addition to everything else that's involved, food shortages and, lack of freedom and all of that. So, so what do you feel are the 3 biggest challenges facing North Koreans today? I mean, I know we had the, flooding in previous years and the famine of the 90s and COVID, the impact of COVID, which we don't, really know 100% the true story of that. But today, what do you think are the 3 biggest challenges that North Koreans are facing today?
Number 1 would be definitely food shortage. Every year they do have food shortage every year, but however, last few years, especially since COVID, they haven't received any international aids or some humanitarian goods from China or other countries, and therefore whatever they were relying upon, by international support hasn't been coming in because I think they purposely decided not to receive those in their own, for their own benefit or on their sake. And therefore, there's a tremendous food shortage in North Korea. That's very challenging. And the second thing will be right now, because of food shortage, people are starving. So what they've been doing is the government's been used to provide rations and food and find a way for them to survive, but they haven't been doing that for last more than 20 years now. For most people, they have to relying on themselves to provide for their family. So they've been working side job, like working at like free markets and some different places. So, but some of them are able to smuggle some of the goods from China to sell at the free market systems. However, the last couple of years, all the smuggling has been banned, and they're not able to do any smuggling. So therefore, there's no product to sell at the market, and that means there's no money is going around. And so therefore, people used to at least buy something or make money and buy their food. The government is not providing, but that's not possible. So food shortage and the money shortage right now. The exchange rate about a year and a half ago, it was 8,000 won, North Korean won to $1. Now it's about $77,000 won versus $1. So you're talking about almost 10 times falls that increase in last year and a half. So that means the economic collapse has been happening. And therefore, now in the food shortage, but the money is not working, the economy is not working. Third thing is that the biggest challenge will be informational blockage is what's been happening in North Korea, because North Korean governments feel very insecure to have their citizens to receive any information from outside, especially watching South Korean dramas and movies and listening to K-pop and all these things. They see it as direct challenges to their system. and they've been banning all these activities. And as you can go to prison for it if you get caught or watching some of the videos. If you've been distributing some videos, you can actually get terminated. Executed, or you get a fully 15 years hard labor sentence. So they take it very seriously. And then in the last couple of years, with all this radio programmings that have been broadcast in North Korea has been suspended or been reduced by Voice of America and RFA, Radio Free Asia, and also South Korean government-funded programs, suspended or they get really reduced to down to about 5 to 10% of what they used to be. That means that people are not able to get any information, not able to listen or hear or see, watch anything from outside anymore. So therefore, they do have these challenges because they have no idea what is really happening outside of the wall. And then so they keep them wonder whether they can make it. And they have no hope for them to continue because there's no, it's almost like information being cut off. Information shortage is probably the third things that they're going through, biggest challenges that they're having so far.
So for all they know, there is no world or the world has ended outside of their border.
That's right.
So NKFI is doing a lot of work, not just within the South Korea and like Jeju and these areas, but it's also doing work throughout areas of East Asia. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about what the current programs that NKFI Korea is managing, such as for those who followed what we do, talk about maybe a little bit about Shalom House, kind of what it does, leadership training, and the recently launched New Korea Hope broadcast. If you can just give us a little bit of information on those.
Yes. We've been working projects in third countries. We call it Shalom House projects. We've been sheltering and overseeing North Korean refugees. They're located in third countries. And then many of them scattered in very rural area, forced marriage, or they've been human trafficked, in all these families. And some of them have been living there, hiding for 15, 20 years now. But they don't really have any place to meet or gather. So therefore, we decided to have like a place of refuge for North Korean refugees living in this condition, and so that they can come and do laundries because they don't have most of them live in the rural area, and or just gather, have fellowship, and then do community gatherings and different things been happening. So we've been working with North Korean women and their children, providing scholarship for them so that they'll be able to. Many of them, they were living in such a countryside. They only have elementary level education in the area, and then so you have to send your kids to local city, which is about hour and a half, 2 hours away. And then they have to go to boarding school there. And so many of them, after middle school, they decided to, not continuing with the rest of the education, and they're not able to provide for them, or they just want their kids to go get a job after that. So we decided to help them with high school education, and then some of them ended up in college. And we've been providing scholarship for their children. They're reaching the college age right now. And then also we've been providing some medical care for some of the women. So they've never been to any hospital because they don't have any proper ID. So we find a way that they can get a medical checkup. So some of them, they've never done that for 20 years. Many of them living in worry. And so we are providing medical care, emotional, one-on-one counseling over online, and then spiritual kind of like discipleship and training is also happening for among the people. So now the network has been growing. So we've been working with many of them and overseas. And we've been also working with the many women and children in South Korea. There are about 35,000 refugees settled in South Korea right now. And then we've been working especially with teenagers and just the kids that just came from North Korea. and they are settled in South Korea. We've been helping with them with developing character and leadership. So we've been providing leadership training camp and unification English training camp so that they can come and learn English and to be able to not only learn English so that they can go to college, but they will be able to hear the gospel for the first time. They'll be also having a heart for becoming a leader someday in a unified country someday so they can go back to their country to rebuild the nation. So we've been focusing on developing leaders for especially younger generations for the last 6-7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently, we've been transitioned into starting broadcasting program to North Korea. We call it New Korea Hope Broadcasting. When I was in North Korea, detained, many people wrote me a letter and all saying that is, we haven't forgotten you. You are not forgotten. That you're not alone. We are praying for you. And so hang in there. So that's a letter of hope. The hundreds of the letter of hope came to me. And these letters really helped me to sustain, not give up, and not able to lose hope. So I realized that, for those people who live in fear and without, hope, I think if someone remember them, and then someone saying that is, you are important to us, that we haven't forgotten you, we are praying for you. That was a true lifeline for me. So when we are studying these projects, I wanted to make sure that people in North Korea to know that they're not forgotten. And so that we do have a program called Letter of Hope program, so that we're asking people around the world to write a letter. As they wrote me a letter when I was in prison, now you please write a letter to North Korean people so that we can actually read these letters when they send it to us on air, so that the people in North Korea can actually listen. So this is one of the things that we are doing right now. And we are trying to deliver hope through a letter of hope and North Korean defector stories. And also we would like to make sure they get the truth, what is going on outside, because they have no idea outside the wall. So outside the news, we've been broadcasting about what's happening in Iran, what's happening in Ukraine, in Venezuela, and just the common stuff happening in South Korea as well. It's a story of freedom and reunification. We've been talking quite a bit about that with international news that we've been broadcasting to people in North Korea. We also carry the gospel messages, so Bible stories and the gospel messages and worship and prayer, and so that people in North Korea to be able to know that the truth will set them free. And then we're also focusing on area of healing. So we are providing comforting music, Christian and non-Christian music, but health and life tips and encouragements, and many different ways that we want to provide hope, truth, and gospel healing messages to people in North Korea. So we've been doing this since March 16. We pioneered this program. Right now, we've been doing 30 minutes a day, 6 days a week. People in North Korea can hear it. We're doing it a shortwave radio signal reaching North Korean people. And then starting from June 1st, we're actually increasing to 1 hour a day, 6 days a week. And then people in North Korea to be able to hear, because there's no signals actually going into North Korea. Just compared to year or two before, I think the number of the signals going in reduced down to about maybe 10 to 15% of the normal traffic's been going in. So now this is why that more reason that we wanted to start this project now, because over 25 million people in North Korea live in an information blackout, yet radio waves cannot be fully blocked. And shortwave radio remain one of the few channels that the regime cannot completely control, and it's become a vital link to the outside world. So we wanted to deliver beyond just information, but helping listeners to realize that the world they know may not be all there is.
So kind of along the lines of the letter of hope, you had mentioned in your book, Not Forgotten, as well as in various speaking engagements, how those messages sent to you during your imprisonment really fueled hope and provided the encouragement you needed to persevere through that imprisonment. And people can send these messages, like you said, to the South Korean office. They will translate it and read it in the North Korean dialect. And so I just want to share that email address with everybody. I've done it before, but let's do it again here. It's NKHB316@gmail.com. Go ahead and, send in your letters. And if you know someone else who would, family, friend, or what have you, that would love to send in a letter as well, we just want to encourage you to do that. Because I know that from a personal experience, I was one of those people when Kenneth was imprisoned that sent a letter. And I didn't know Kenneth, had no idea who he was. He didn't know who I was. But I thought to myself that if I was in a similar position, I would want someone thinking of me and advocating for me. And that was the piece that encouraged me to go ahead and send a letter. So I want to also encourage you to do the same, because as it impacted his life, it also impacted my life. And the only thing it costs you is time.
Yeah, you can also go to our website, nkhb.org/en. So if you just go to nkhb.org/en, which means English, then you can just find the QR, or you can just send the letter directly to our website as well. Because you can check out our website, get more information about our radio programming. That would be wonderful.
So right now, you are also part of a diverse group of leaders speaking up for the One Korea movement. And I'm wondering, I know that you're working toward and petitioning for reunification of the peninsula through that movement. What can you share about NKFI's involvement, your involvement in what's going on and what the hopeful outcome is for One Korea?
Yes, the Korea never been two Korea. It used to be just one Korea for hundreds of years. And then during Japanese occupations, between 1910 to 1945, 36 years, it was under Japanese rule. And then Japanese surrendered in 1945, and as the end of World War II, the country was divided into two pieces: north by Soviet, south by American troops came in. They ruled the peninsula for 3 years before each side declared independence in 1948. And then they both established the governments and become two countries. But we, as a Korean people, we never recognized that we are not permanently two countries, but this is all part of the divisions caused by foreign power. But someday we'll be becoming one country again because we are one people. And then so that's been a dream, and especially during the 1950s to 1953 Korean War, more than 5 million people lost their lives, and then they ended up escape from North Korea to South Korea, and then and many of them, they have loved ones left behind. They're just scattered families. So they've been wanting to be able to visit their loved one, but they haven't been able to do that. So first generation, they're almost, their youngest one is 80 to 90 years old, and they say we probably never be able to visit our home or see my loved one before I die, unless the two countries unified. At the same time, that in North Korea, because the communist regime's been ruling over 80 years, it become a utterly desperate place where people live as a slave. There's no human right whatsoever, and therefore, therefore, if we just say that South Korea is become one of the powerful nations economy-wise in terms of culture and militaries and ITs, and they were proud of their success for last 80 years. But however, South Korean people still are not totally satisfied because they feel like half of their people, half of the country is still under communist occupation. Pretty much they're live without freedom. So we cannot just look the other way and say, as long as we are safe, we just go on living without them. Now, recently, South Korean government is now saying that maybe we should just adopt, adjust, because North Korean government decided to not to pursue reunification any longer, and they wanted to make sure that we become two separate country, and then it become hostile relationship. So South Korean government now saying that we shouldn't make it peaceful relationship, but two countries. And then that means it become a permanently two divided countries. And that will makes people, North Korean people, 25 million people living without freedom more permanently unless the government system change. So we wanted to make sure that stand up for people in North Korea because they cannot speak because there's no right for them to speak about their right about human right or any whatsoever the freedoms they don't have. And so we just wanted to make sure that we want one Korea, free, democratic, one Korea, so that the Korea that were people in North Korea and South Korea to be able to live in harmony and peacefully. And someday we'll become one countries. And so this is why that we decided to advocate. And then we wanted to see not only become one country, but new Korea that will not only benefiting the people living in the peninsula, but it will be also the country that benefit the rest of the world and bringing God's kingdom and truth to the people around the world.
One question I do have kind of about this, and I asked one of our other North Korean friends, is that, looking at the complexities of creating unification, it's not just food, it's not just education, it's not just economy or health, or it is a giant task that is too big for the Korean Peninsula to handle alone exclusively. But I also, in speaking with our friend, that retaining the culture and identity of the Korean people is also very, very important. So I think it feels like this is going to be a global effort of governmental bodies and individual organizations, the Korean government and the people all to work together, but it has to be led by the Korean people. Does that seem correct? I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Yes, I believe so. I think the reunification of South and North Korea should be led by Korean. But we also need international support, especially the international Christian support, because it's about people living like a human being, and that right is being denied. And by if we say, okay, if it's not one Korea, then two Korea, then maybe we'll have peaceful relationship between the governments. But how about the people living in North Korea? Are they going to be peaceful? Are they going to be content and happy, and they'll be able to live like a regular human being that has a basic human right that they can have? So which hasn't been so for the last 70, 80 years. There's no freedom of religions, no freedom of speech, and mobilities, and freedom to even choosing job. Therefore, I wanted to make sure that it has to be Korea-led reunification, but at the same time, the international community also need to rally with the people, and so that yes, people in North Korea is important, and then Korea used to be one country; it has to stay as one country. So reunification is the only way to bring, solving international crisis that could have with the nuclear issues that we have been dealing so far with the North Korean government for the last 30 years, but it hasn't been able to resolve it. And the human rights issues and food shortage issues and the economics and all these issues that with North Korean governments, that only thing we can think about is we need to seek for peaceful reunification, but not with the North Korean governments, but we need to make sure that our main partner for reunification need to be North Korean people living in North Korea, so that we can kind of think about it as how can we benefit 25 million North Koreans, 52 million South Koreans, and maybe about 7 or 8 million living overseas. We're talking about almost like 85 million Koreans. But later on, it'll also stabilize regional, I think, peace in terms of China and Russia and Korea and Japan policies, including the United States. So I do believe that we just can't have the North Korean people to suffer any longer. Before our first generation all passed away, we wanted to see this will be a time to speak up on the reunification and also human rights issues. So therefore, this will be the time that we can make difference soon.
Sure. So I know that we have had the prayer campaign, the Pray for NK, which is a global, a good global format for people to get involved and pray for North Korea and receive news and updates. There's also the 1 million One Korea petition, because we aren't in the active process right now of rebuilding and helping, unify the peninsula. We're not on the ground actively in the countries doing the work, but this is kind of the precursor for people to be praying for this to happen, but also let their opinions be known and their commitment be known. So maybe if we could just touch on that a little bit here so the international community can know how they can get involved today.
Yeah, the New Korea Reunification Campaign stand with the people of North Korea and speak on their behalf and work toward one united Korea grounded in freedom and democracy. So we are launching this movement to gather 1 million signatures to support reunification. So we just asked now is the time to raise our voices together. And so that we're asking people to participate and support, bring hope, and help advance the future of reunified countries. You can also go to our website. This one you can find it, newkoreafi.org. If you go there, then you can look for a QR code, sign for reunifications. Then you can actually sign a petition so that we'd like to get a global community to commit. We'd like to see 1 million signatures to come in and say it's not just a few people in South Korea so thinking or wanting to have reunification, but we are supporting North Korean people. So therefore, we wanted to make sure that reunification will become the end goal, end game of this solving all these issues and problems we are facing right now. And therefore, we're asking people to support New Korea Reunification Campaign. We'd like to see 1 million signatures for reunifications.
Awesome. That's great. And then the prayfornk.org is still...
That's correct. And one more thing about our NKHB, New Korea Hope Broadcasting. So it's part of our New Korea Foundation International's the ministry. There is our radio program ministry. But we are right now looking for 1,000 signal missionaries who can be part of this making miracle daily basis. We'd like to have 1,000 supporters to commit giving just $1 a day, which means $30 a month, that we can produce and broadcast 2 hours of programming each day. So you only take 1,000 people to say, yes, North Korean people is important and they need to know the truth and they need to hear hope from outside the world. So we like to ask the people, especially those of us who are living in the United States, if you say, yes, North Korean people, so we should care for them. I think this will be wonderful messages to them and say they believe the Americans are there to get them and hate them. We want to just conquer them, but instead we say we love you. We want to extend our heart to you and we are prayer to you, and we would like to make sure that you're receiving the truth and hope. And people living in North Korea. So if you become a signal missionary with NKHB, bringing truth and hope to North Korea, and then that will make possible to produce broadcasts to deliver the gospel and hope to North Korean listeners, sustain our shortwave radio transmissions, and then also it can help to create a content tailored specifically for the people of North Korea. So for the people of North Korea, this broadcast become a window of window to the outside world and message of hope and the light of the gospel. So therefore, we are waiting for 1,000 signal missionaries to join us, so that we can tell them that yes, you are not forgotten, and we want to extend our love and hope to people in North Korea. If you can be part of that, you can also go to our NKHB .org/en, and you can just join becoming a signal missionary as well.
Sure. And you can also send any of your financial gifts either via Zelle or PayPal. That address is giving@newkoreafi.org. That's primarily in the U.S. Or if you are more comfortable with sending in your check payment, you can send that to our U.S.-based mailing address to New Korea Foundation International, 4048 Lakeland Avenue North, number 22171, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 55422. And I think we've covered a lot of information today, and I know we have a busy afternoon, so I don't want to take too much more time. But Kenneth, is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
Yes, tonight we are having a special event, having launch and a fundraising night for NKHB, New Korea Hope Broadcasting. We are letting the people around the world know that people in North Korea, they're valuable and they're not supposed to be forgotten. And so tonight we'll make the big mark and then for our organization as well. But many people will know that this will make difference and this will bring hope to people in North Korea. So I am excited that what this radio ministry will do, and also we'll hear. We know that at least 44% of the people who listen to radio, they were able to escape from North Korea. And they said that listening to radio really gave them a hope to take a step of faith to go out of the countries. So I do believe that that what we are doing, we don't know how many people will be listening daily basis, but even like 10, hundreds of thousands of people listen on a daily basis, I think we can still make a difference to those people hearing the gospel for first time. And I do believe that this will make huge difference down the road. That we will discover that when days come, that we'll be able to meet them in person, to be able to celebrate together. So that please join us in prayer. And and then I think this will be a wonderful way that we can do these projects together.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kenneth, for your time. And I look forward to tonight and future conversations. Thank you.
All right. God bless you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Today, Kenneth serves as the president of NKFI USA and NKFI South Korea. Through his leadership, we are providing rescue, restoration, leadership training, and sharing hope with North Koreans living all throughout their homeland. Now, whenever I reflect on Kenneth's testimony, continued commitment, and even my own work, I'm reminded of John 15:12-14. Quote, "My command is this, love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command." End quote. The expectation around our engagement with and response to the people of North Korea, and really others in communities globally who are suffering, it's made very clear, not just in this passage, but throughout Scripture. Even in secular literature exists the importance of empathy and care for both individuals and communities in need, believing that we are born with inherent morality that navigates us naturally to recognize human dignity, equity, and compassion for the betterment of all. And considering this, it really is no wonder that people like Kenneth and honestly myself feel such an overwhelming call to reach out, provide care, and advocate for those living under oppression without human rights or dignity. And whether you're a Christian or not, taking action in any way is how we get things moving and get change started. As you heard in this podcast, there are several ways that you can join us in creating change. You can write a letter of hope If you feel called to support us financially, you can do that any number of ways. But also sharing the work that we do with others makes a very big impact. Never underestimate your ability to engage and create change for people who may never know you, who may never know your name. Their lives can, in fact, be changed for the future and for the better with your time and your intent. If you've enjoyed this podcast, we invite you to like and subscribe. And if you feel comfortable doing it, sharing it with people in your life, whether it be friends, family, clergy, coworkers, really anyone that you feel might have an interest and a commitment to creating freedom for all North Koreans. Thank you for listening today, and we'll see you next time.
Voices from the Hidden Kingdom was brought to you by New Korea Foundation International, a U.S.-based 501c3, advocating for North Korean refugees, their nation, and their families. Thank you for listening.